Hey, it's Scott Weiss again with Lessons on Leaving, your complete guide to funerals. Yeah, I'm here outside today. I want to talk to you a little bit about the disposition of cremated remains. And of course, the term that we use in funeral industry, death care industry, is cremains. Once a person's been cremated, you now have the human remains in cremated form. It's just commonly called cremains. What it is not called is ashes. Ashes are what you get at the bottom of a fire pit, what's left over from the wood or from the end of a cigarette. So remember, we're going to say cremains or cremated remains. And there's a lot of misconceptions about cremains and the cremation process. I want you to know, first of all, the cremated remains are not going to look like gray, dusty ashes that you might get from a campfire. They're actually going to be more white in color and look like bone that has been ground up, because that's exactly what it is. Once it's out of the crematory, the retort, these are going to be piled up together. They're going to be put into a processor where you're going to have all the bones are going to be ground up in this, basically bone chips and bone fragments with some dust, of course, in there. It's going to end up being 6 to 9 pounds of bone fragments and dust with white in color. So the reason I'm telling you that, if you want to scatter your loved ones out into a beautiful scene. What I'm doing right now is I'm standing out next to the Little Muskegon River in northwest Michigan, beautiful area of the state, and there are a lot of people that would want to go down and scatter, say, the remains of their family members in a river like this. Or one hint I would give you is, if you want to watch them float away, if you're in a waterway, put some flowers along with the remains so that you can see where it goes, and maybe take some pictures and maybe have that memory as well. But one big tip is, if you're going to be scattering, of course, it's a stand upwind. You cannot imagine, and right now you could go on YouTube and see videos of people that have been covered by their family members' remains when they're standing on the wrong side of the wind. So just a little tip there. But if you're going to want to scatter the remains in a city, you need to find out the city ordinances and laws they might have in place. If you're in a county, you need to discover those laws as well. There are some very definite laws when you're on the coast, say, of California, or you're scattering remains on a beach. So nobody wants to walk upon a pile of human remains and recognize them, and so there are laws to follow. However, in most of the country, especially in an outdoor environment, whether you're in a national park or in the mountains or near a river or a waterway, there are no laws and regulations, and people really don't know how to handle that. And so most often what happens is the don't ask, don't tell policy. So if you want to get together and a few of your friends or family members and follow through the wishes of someone who wanted to be scattered in a beautiful area like this river, just do it without asking or telling anybody or making a big deal about it. And believe it or not, you're probably not violating laws in most states, in most areas. So just a little talking today about how to follow up with the scattering of human remains. There's a lot of questions you might have. Ask me a question, send it to me. I can give you more information about this subject. Some people actually find it very offensive to scatter human remains and really believe that those cremains ought to be buried somewhere. And some people are very strong about that. I'm going to tell you what, the number one rule is there are no rules about this, and not everyone is going to agree on what is right and what is not right. And so we just need to be tolerant and acceptant of other people's views. You might want to scatter your loved one, and somebody else might think that's terrible and they should be buried. Someone else might think they need to be in an urn right in their living room or whatever. There's nothing that's right or wrong. Everybody has different views and different thoughts, and grieve in a different way, and handle these processes in a different way. So again, this is Scott Weiss with Lessons on Leaving, your complete guide to funerals. Please subscribe to my newsletter. Once a week I'm going to give you some information. I'm going to give you a free 11-page funeral planning guide with just an email as a subscriber. See me on Facebook or YouTube and ask those questions. I got a question this week that was really good, answered it, got more interest, and we just really need to continue this dialogue about death and dying and funerals, and and get this out in your knowledge or in the forefront of your mind so that when the time comes, you'll be prepared. So, ScottVice.com or lessonsonleaving.com, and we'll see you next time.